Hi, this is Jacob Sapochnik with the enchantinglawyer.com podcast, and welcome to the show. I'm very excited to have a very interesting and special guest today, Mike Gingrich. Mike is a marketing consultant. He's a Facebook expert, and he's also the co-founder of Tapsite, a company that creates apps for contests and engagement on Facebook. And Mike, welcome to our show. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm glad to be here with you today, Jacob.
Very good. And Mike, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself, about your what you do right now, and how did you get started in
Yes, I'd be glad to.
marketing?
I am a digital marketing consultant. So Digital Hill is our main company, and we have kind of a website design side, and that's kind of where I started. And then as social
Right,
media took off, I jumped into. We began in 2010. We launched Tabsite, and
right,
we caught it right when Facebook pages were really starting to just uh, expand for businesses, and
right.
so that is kind of our application side. And then I also lead our digital marketing division, where we really help clients with their digital marketing online and social media strategies.
Very good. And then, Mike, one of the things that people always ask me, our audience, they're professionals, attorneys, people still today are discrediting and they feel that Facebook is not a business tool. How do you see it from the standpoint of somebody who is in the field marketing on Facebook? Where do you see Facebook's going right now, future-wise, businesses
Yeah,
for business?
I mean, I think that the keys with Facebook are that every major demographic is represented. I mean,
Right,
it's just there's no one else, no other social network where a dominant growing demographic is, that say 55 to 65. I mean, that
right,
just doesn't happen anywhere. And so that's why it's important. And as you see with some of their recent purchases, the WhatsApp and things like that,
right,
they're continuing to innovate. And so for businesses, it's a place where your demographic is spending time, and so you have the opportunity to interact with them there. And what they're doing with some of their changes in terms of mobile advancements, things like that, just shows that they're continuing to see ways that they want to be relevant going forward.
right. And there's been a lot of publications in the media about the fact that young people are leaving Facebook. And I mean, in my case, when I look at it from somebody who's using Facebook, I don't think it's such a big problem. But do you see it being a concern, a point of concern for people who are investing money in marketing Facebook, saying, well, what happens in 2 years when nobody's going to be there and it's just going to be a ghost town?
Yeah, I think that there's a couple key things to look at there. Oftentimes when people say, young people aren't on it, they're kind of
Right,
looking at the 13 to 16 demographic.
right,
Um, and I mean, 13 is only when you can start. So
right,
there's a little trickle effect. But what we see that I think is key is that when you look at the 18 to 25, that's
right.
a demographic that continues to grow and
Hmm.
is spending time on it. So I think that there's kind of a assimilation process, and young people are spending time there as they grow older, 18 and into college, because the rest of their peers, other interactions are on there. I think you do need to be, if you're trying to target 13 to 19-year-olds, I mean, there
Right,
are other places such as, Instagram, that you probably should be
right,
represented as well. However, remember that Instagram is also owned by Facebook, so there's going to be
exactly.
collaboration there.
Right, and I think that's why they're trying to acquire all these companies, kind of like WhatsApp, and who knows what's going to be the next one, because they feel that we have those companies and we're not going anywhere, giving some confidence back to the people who put money into marketing, paying for ads.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, there've been some changes coming up in Facebook in their news feed and different things. First of all, do you want to give me a little update or snippet of some of the things that you've seen coming up as far as changes?
Yeah. Oh, I think one of the keys was towards the end of 2013, beginning of 2014, Facebook kind of came out with a statement and said,
Right,
hey, these types of posts are, and they were talking about text posts and quality of posts. They said these are going to get less reach. You should be doing this, and so they gave some guidance, but they by the way they said it, they kind of scared people and said, oh, you're telling us now that reach is going to go down,
right,
and I think that, so that was one thing, but I think to some degree there was some over on that. I mean, it shows the power of Facebook that there are so many, posts, there's so many pages posting that it is going to get full. And
Right.
so, you need to find a way to rise to the top if you want to be seen. And they are sharpening some of their algorithms. So they're
Right.
saying, for profiles, where people are engaging more with these, so we're going to show more of that. But for pages, they're showing, a link post, and that can help. People are responding better to that, so that's what you should be doing.
Right.
So those are just important evolutions to be aware of, and there are some changes. They wanted to encourage people to go for ads,
Right.
and people are saying, "Oh, I don't want to pay for ads." However, I mean, for pennies on the dollar, you
Mm-hmm.
can reach your specific targeted demographic. I mean, it's a brilliant tool. I mean, just
Right.
because where I was on Google or something, you have to depend on somebody hopefully searching for your term, those types of pieces.
Right.
You can begin doing some retargeting. But here, I can outline, Facebook has all this demographic information. And I can
Right.
say, I want to reach people who are interested in, X, Y, and Z between the ages of such and such and
Mm-hmm.
in this location. And I can deliver a message to them. That's beautiful. And if I can do that for, $20 or $30, I mean, that's pretty cost effective in my mind.
Right.
The most recently, then Facebook just announced the at tagging change, so
Mm-hmm.
you can tag a page and in your newsfeed post,
Right.
and that post would be in the news feeds of both pages. Then,
Right.
so that has some good potential. I think it still remains to be seen. There were people concerned about
Right.
that being spammy, and I know that Mari Spith just recently posted that she tagged a number of pages, and actually the post was taken down. So
Right.
I think there's some sifting and sorting on that again, but it's a way that Facebook is trying to help. And by tagging one page or maybe two, I think we're seeing things go out well with that. It's just, again, people, you can't,
Right.
spam. You can't go that they're against spam, so you can't tag 10 pages and hopefully that one's going to survive.
Right. Now, when you say tagging, are these tagging pages that you own, or it can be any page that you want to mention in the ad?
It can be other pages that you
Ad
want to
pages.
mention.
Right.
Yes.
So I see where the concern is, where that people may use that for things that may not be so appropriate, especially if you pay for the ad and people are going to see it.
Yeah, yeah. So there's still going to be some sifting, sorting, and I
Right.
think that, but it's a new feature. Again, in my
Right.
mind, it's just showing that Facebook is trying to be proactive and trying to take some steps to help businesses with that whole reach equation that people that's important to every business on Facebook.
Right. And if somebody comes to you as a customer and they want to start marketing in Facebook, what would be the first thing that you would recommend for them to do as they launch their page and trying to get engagement?
Yeah.
I'm talking about 2014, the new way of trying to get fans.
Okay. Well, I think that I'm gonna back up to them and say, make sure you are honing in on who is your audience, who's your
Right.
target. What is their age? When are they on Facebook? What's their language that they use? What are they interested in? And so that's going to be important to you in terms of the content that you deliver to them.
Right.
And I think that Jay Baer said it well in his book Utility when he said that people are on
Right.
the web and for two basic reasons. They either want to be entertained or they want to have a problem solved.
Right.
And so keeping those two things in context for a page when you're delivering your content, you're thinking about things. It's can you solve a problem or do you want to entertain them? That's why they're on Facebook.
Right.
They're scanning the news feed to see what's happening, and so you want to engage with them in that manner. And a page should not make the mistake of being too salesy and just pushing their products and services. They have to really. It is Facebook. It is a social network. You need to be social, and
Right.
so your content needs to flow within that.
Right. And one of the things that people often ask me is, what do you think is the ROI of Facebook, of using Facebook? And I always ask that question for people who are in marketing who do that, and I ask that, Mari and people and everybody has a different answer, and I'm curious to see what you're going to say about that. And the point is basically, I'm going to be using Facebook. What am I going to get out of it? What is really the ROI, and how are you going to explain that to a client?
Yep, yep. I'm going to say that I want you to have a complete plan. Facebook cannot
Right.
be the only part of your plan. And so Facebook
That's true.
for a business has two great potentials. Number one is to attract and
Mm-hmm.
engage. That is to reach your audience and your ideal audience in a greater measure. And that's by awareness. That's if it takes 7 touches for someone to be confident to purchase from you, then your interactions, if you can become to get them to become a fan and interact with you, you can have some of those touches right there on Facebook. Then your strategy also needs to say, how do I move them from a fan to someone that can be a lead, someone that I can nurture, and I know who they are, from a
Right.
unknown fan to a known lead, such as a name and email address. And so Facebook can help you in that through, driving traffic either to your website or to a tab where you can have a simple incentive offer
Right.
that is for name and email address, so that then they're a known entity to you in your entire digital marketing strategy. And then you can nurture that in ongoing ways via Facebook web retargeting, ad retargeting, or email nurtures, those types of campaigns. And so the ROI is going to depend on making sure you have a cohesive strategy from reaching your audience
Right.
to identifying them and having them become a lead and someone that you can communicate and nurture along, and then in specific times offering specific offers when they have that trust built that they are saying, yes, this is a viable thing, I want to purchase.
Right. And I think that, I mean, to me, it's also a very powerful networking tool. What allows you to, spread the word, kind of like fire, which you can't really do in any other way in person. If you wanted to go out and meet people for breakfast every day, you would never reach as many people as you can with Facebook. And that's why I find it such a powerful tool.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, people who are marketing on Facebook, they always have the big dilemma whether they should write posts without images or use images, and how to use images. And I know there's been changes in that area as well. What is your take on that now? What is the best way to do?
Well, I think that images just in general continue to
Right.
be important, just because the web is visual, and you see
Right.
the growth in visual media that communicates. I think what is I think you can mix in some images, photo posts that communicate. I think it is helpful to not just have a photo post, but to include, maybe there's a simple text statement on there and a little piece of your branding, just so
Right.
that it's flowing on with who you are. But I think one of the keys now is optimizing your blog, because you're most likely going to write blog posts that
Right.
at some point you're going to share that on Facebook. And so you want to have images on your blog that share well on Facebook, because they made those changes last fall for a better visual pulling in of your images from your blog in the newsfeed on mobile
Right.
and desktop. And so, I'm always encouraging everyone, you got to have a image that's at least 600 pixels wide by 325 pixels tall
Right.
on your blog post. And that can be pulled in well to display well, capture the attention on Facebook.
So that's a very important point. So you're saying that now, um, if you're trying to share content via link, a full link, on
Yes,
your Facebook newsfeed, which is going to bring in the picture from your blog, that picture must be also optimized for Facebook before you even post it on your blog. Knowing that,
absolutely, absolutely, yes.
right? And then I think John Loomer had a very interesting infographic. I've seen it where he has all the different sizes.
Yep.
So what if you're trying to use that image and hope that people who are searching you on mobile are also able to open it on your blog? Is there a particular optimized size that can be good for Facebook and open it on mobile, that you don't have to do several of them?
Yeah, yeah, and that is a key point, because
Yeah.
Facebook's gonna tell you that they recommend 1,200 pixels
Yes.
wide, and I mean that's huge. That's
I
really
know.
wide,
Right.
and so, but if you go I've kind of went back to that 600
Mm-hmm.
by 325 size, and I do this for a reason. That's because in the Facebook Ads Manager,
Okay.
one of their recommended sizes, when they give you the ability to upload for your ad a
Mm-hmm.
custom image, that's the size that they recommend. And
Nice.
so John Loomer's article, he does go into all those pieces, and you'll see one of his for the ad sizes. But that's a simple way, because if you can create an image at that size,
Right.
it's going to be light enough and fast enough on loading on your blog, loading on a mobile, and also appear well in Facebook.
Right. No, that I think that's a great tip because this way, people are just getting frustrated. They don't know what to do anymore, what size. And this thing, you can just pull it anywhere.
Yeah.
Now, we have a Facebook page now, and things are going well. And I want to get into some of these tabs and apps that are used right now. First of all, what is the purpose of using tabs in the first place? Why do I
Yeah.
need tabs?
Sure, sure. So Facebook tabs that we offer with TabSite, the key there is it allows businesses on their page to offer more engagement and lead capture tools.
Right.
Those are two primary purposes, ways to, because you're trying to build your attraction, so we have
Right.
apps for that, and then you're trying to build how can we move them from a fan to a lead, and we have lead capture tools within that.
So, if somebody is not liking a page yet, the tab has some kind of a fan gate page that allows you to like it with this particular prompt.
Yes, yes. We allow people to easily set up what we call an image like gate,
Uh-huh.
a like gate. And so,
Right.
so basically, with the tab concept, you're going to create a tab. We try to give you simple tools that you don't have to be a programmer to know. It's
Right.
similar to creating a blog post in WordPress or something. You follow some steps, and then you can publish that tab to your Facebook page. And we give you what's called a smart URL, and that's a critical component because it allows any user on a mobile
Right.
device or a desktop to access the tab. And so then you would go share that on Facebook and say,
Mm-hmm.
say you did a incentive, you could say, post this out. Hey, we have an incentive going now, and it's going to be a free download of this, and click on this link, and then that link would take them to the tab, and that maybe they're going to be required to give their name and email address. Then they get access to that. So we make that easy to do.
Right. Now, can you share with me some of the most popular tabs out there that you think will be good for a business, like a service business, for example?
Yeah. Okay. One of the key tools that a lot of service businesses are using is what's called our Sweepstakes Plus.
Uh-huh.
And so basically that's on a tab, and you can have a like gate on it, and then you
Right.
can say you want to offer an incentive, a download. You can have a name, email address. You can fill out a couple fields, and then they can download that. Or if they want to run a simple sweepstakes,
Mm-hmm.
then what's the plus about it is that they have the ability to share that with friends to get more reach, and they get a extra bonus entry in the sweepstakes by sharing that. And then if the friend clicks on it and comes back to it, then they also get another entry. And so if you run a simple sweepstakes that's going to have a random winner drawn, a sweepstakes plus is a good way to do that.
Very good. And talking about sweepstakes, can you tell us some of the advantages of actually doing contests? And well, first, why we want to do a contest in the first place? And second of all, some of the changes in the rules about offering contests, Facebook.
Okay. Okay. So why would you want to do it? I'll answer that one first.
Yeah.
And I think that is because it's an attraction mechanism. That when you think about your Facebook post, I always encourage people to think
Yeah.
in three different terms. Is this post in this content, the bulk of your content needs to be in that attraction and engagement stage.
Right.
Then there's I want to say 50% of your content should be in that arena. Then a midsection is kind of that lead capture, lead nurture, and that's maybe 30% of your content. That's where you're trying to get them to enter a name and email address through some incentive. And then the bottom portion, 20%, is going to be some type of direct offer. So you need content to reach more people, and a contest or promotion can do that. It can help you incentivize them to interact and to engage, to comment. So that's one of the keys. Then, as you noted, there were some changes that Facebook made. This was in August, September of last
Right.
year, and what that allowed you to do was now to run a contest in the newsfeed on a post. So somebody can publish a post and say, like this or comment on this to enter, and so that happens right in the news feed. And that's what that helps with is engagement as well, because it's very simple. A mobile user, all they have to do is like or comment, and they're not even going anywhere. So it's a way to and engagement. That type of liking and commenting is important, because as they do that, that tells Facebook's algorithm that this page, this content was interesting to that person. So let's show them more of their future posts.
So you're saying that some of the ways to conduct a contest is not necessarily through an app. We can actually do it through an offer in our post.
Yeah, yes, and I want to say there's a reason for both. Like a timeline, one that you do on a post, can help you simply with attraction. Now, because if you get 500 people to comment on that, that is 500 interactions, which helps your page information to be seen by them in the future. What it doesn't help with is a lead capture, and that's where the Tab app comes in. So I think it's kind of a 1-2 combination. You can run timeline contests for some attraction, and then down the pike, as part of your mix, you can run something on a Tab app, because that one then moves them from fan to lead by getting their name and email address when they entered it.
Right. So it's actually essentially it's a combination of both.
Yep.
You want to use both, increase the engagement, but at the same time you need to capture those leads, because that's where conversion happens.
That's right.
And Mike, I wanted to ask you something about video. Video has become very important in regular marketing, and Facebook, to me, started allowing the short videos playing in the news feed. How do you see that video marketing, mixed in the regular marketing on Facebook, and some interesting tools that you found that you can mention?
Yeah, I think that video again appeals to that visual imagery, and I think that videos can really fit into the attraction or the lead capture strategy, because with attraction you can do a simple video that either is entertaining or that provides help, that's educational. So that's showing you as a expert, and it's a way to increase your reach that way.
Right.
And but let's say you did a 45-second YouTube video and you posted that on Facebook, then they can watch that right in the news feed. But you can also, in your description, maybe link to the video, and in the description on the video, you can have a link to your lead capture form. To get more information, go here. So it can fit in both those areas.
Right. Are there any apps that you guys are working on, or that are good for video, and how do you use them?
We have one that's called Brand VidMaker, and it basically allows you to create from images a quick video. And so let's say you wanted to demonstrate a product or a service, and you had maybe 6 images that could do that. So you could start with an image that is your branding, and then load in those 5, and we give you the ability to set transitions and choose from how they go from one to the other, and choose a music selection with that, and then publish that both to a tab if you want, and also to your news feed. And and so a tool like that is fitting with the the power of imagery to help people do in 10-15 seconds what it would take them too long to read, to scroll through.
Right. Of course, visual storytelling. This is really where the marketing is taking us in 2014, right?
Absolutely.
This is the future.
Yep.
And so the way you see it is a video, as opposed to there's a lot of tools right now allow you to stream through Facebook. And I don't know if this is something that has been useful from what you've seen, actually having the a presentation from Facebook, keeping the fans engaged when you do like a hangout. Is it something that you see is going to get more popular, or?
I think Hangouts are definitely a powerful tool. I think that it invites people to come, engage, and hang out. I think one of the changes that we've seen is that there's less restriction for people to necessarily want to stay always on Facebook. They're okay if they get taken out to a YouTube or to a Google Plus, to a Hangout on air quickly to see those types of things. And so I think you're going to see you're seeing some convergence. There's kind of
Right.
a free flowing as people are just comfortable in social media. They'll flow from one to another to watch something, and but a Hangout is definitely a way again that you can reach one to many and
Mm-hmm.
build a loyalty and a communication that is just a tremendous powerful tool.
Very good. And Mike, I wanted you to tell me a bit more about. You have this app that called it's a website resizer. Why don't you tell us a bit more what it is and why what is the use of having one?
Yeah, okay. So Website Resizer is an app that we came out with last fall,
Uh-huh.
and just been powerful to use simply because it allows you to leverage what you already have on your website.
Right.
So, for instance, we have many hotels using it because every
Mm-hmm.
hotel has like a reservation system that,
Yeah.
to be able to see availability on their website. And so what you can do with Website Resizer is to bring that into a tab on Facebook. And as you know, many websites are larger in width than the Facebook tab. Okay, so say a website is 1,000 pixels wide, and if you put that directly into a tab, well, you'd have these scroll bars, and people could,
Right.
they're always missing a piece. But with Website Resizer, we do some magic behind the scenes there that
Right.
we bring that website down to fit nicely into the
Mm-hmm.
tab 810 pixel width. And so the goal is to be able to allow businesses to leverage some of the key tools that they've developed for their website right
Right.
on Facebook.
Interesting. So people can see it through the tab only, or can you also export it to the news feed as well?
The it's on the tab,
Uh-huh.
and so basically then to bring awareness of that, that's where you want to do some posting in the news
Right.
feed with a smart URL that drives traffic to that tab.
Right. And I think that with some of the changes that Facebook brought in, we're allowing them to embed your posts on your blog. You can actually take the HTML code and put it on your blog. This has been very interesting. Well, have you used that before?
I do have some
Some of these posts?
posts that are embedded
Yeah.
on my blog from Facebook, and yeah, because it allows them to interact right there. They can like the post, they can comment on the
Right.
post, or they can click through and come to that post. So that's
Right.
been a good tool.
It looks like Facebook is trying to kind of broaden their reach. So you can be we have to be everywhere on our blogs. You can be in our mobiles and in messages. They want people to be using it everywhere.
Yep, that's that cohesiveness and convergence. You're
It
just
is.
seeing it spread out. Yeah.
Right. So if a client hired you today and says, "Listen, I want you to plan my marketing plan for the next 5 years," how would you strategize Facebook as part of that particular plan? And
Yeah.
what would you add to it?
Okay. Well, I mean, it's going to be key on who their target audience is,
Right.
and is it B2B, B2C, and where that audience is spending time. But I think that they're going to want to have a presence on Facebook just because
Right.
of the power of it. I'm going to encourage them to say this is a way to. As you kind of mentioned, it's a way
Right.
to interact. It's a way to
Network.
build some trust and network. And so I'm going to have some strategies involved with that in that whole attraction arena. And then I'm also going to say that Facebook can be a piece of your lead capture strategy. So let's look at ways that that's going to be valuable to you. Whether it makes sense for your business to offer a coupon incentive that they get in return for their name and email address, or maybe it's a free download, of a podcast episode or something like that, private information that is an incentive, more in a B2B kind of realm that can be helpful. And and I'm going to say then, that's transferring them from Facebook to your customer relationship management, your CRM, your email nurture. And so that's where some email nurture needs to come into play. But I think that you need to look at it cohesive, and that's where I come at it from the digital marketing standpoint, that Facebook is a key piece
Right.
because of the value of it in the attraction and engagement strategy. And it's a way to help you to interact and have those touches, but you also need to have a content strategy that is beyond Facebook, that is on your blog and on
Sure.
your website. And then you also really need that email nurture strategy that follows up with people, because email is read, it is dealt with, and so that's a tremendous way for a lot of sales doesn't happen directly on Facebook. A lot of the first through
Right.
fifth through sixth touches happen, and then the seventh touch may be via email marketing.
I see. That's a good point. And Mike, in addition to Facebook, what other one particular network, social network, you would tell people to pay attention to and not to ignore?
Okay. You know, that's a loaded question just because, again, it's
I know.
so varied by demographics. But I think that, Google Plus is something that offers a
Right.
lot of value, and it offers a lot of diversity. Number one, it's owned by Google, and
Right.
so when you share some things on Google Plus, your blog post or whatever, that can get indexed very well.
Right.
So that's important from a search standpoint. But number two, some of their tools, such as the Hangouts that we've kind of referenced before,
Right.
just a valuable, powerful tool to offer some engagement. And Google Plus has made some changes, like they changed YouTube comments
Yes.
to align with your Google Plus profile. So
That's
if
true.
you and so they're, again, cohesive integration. They're
Right.
moving some pieces together, and so that's a valuable tool.
Right. And I'm happy that you mentioned Google Plus because I had a feeling you'll say that as opposed to Twitter, because I think people who are in the content marketing who are trying to get people to stay on their pages they feel that Google Plus is the way to go because it's going to be everywhere, right? They're converting it. They actually kind of force you to use it, whether you
Yeah.
like it or not. Even the local. I mean, for me as an attorney with a local business, even the local reviews are now part of Google Plus. So
Okay.
you have to
Yep.
use it. They actually force everybody to convert. And I,
Yep.
and I agree with you that we cannot ignore it. It has to be kind of nurtured. But Facebook is definitely the big boy in town right now. And we.
Yeah. Facebook is just because of that demographic, that it covers all of them. I mean,
Right.
the demographics on Google Plus,
Right.
you need to make sure whether your demographic is there or not, and some aren't
Right.
in full strength. But it
Right.
just has some great tools and features.
Absolutely. And Mike, if you can give a couple of tips for somebody who wants to be a perfect engager on Facebook, what would be a very basic daily routine that you would recommend somebody to be able to be effective
Okay.
as they post?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to come back to, again, thinking in terms of that whole kind of a funnel strategy. If
Right.
50% of your posts need to be in kind of that attraction and engagement, so that's helpful information. Whether you want to entertain or you want to help us solve a problem or educate, think of your material in that regards, and then within that, I think visual, and you want to think of some of those. Some of those can be other links. You don't have to be always from your blog post. I think that's it needs to be beyond that. You need to be offering resources,
Right.
but some of it does need to be your content. And then I think that you want to take a look at what are some of the incentives that my business can offer that will help move from a fan to a lead. And so I think that's important, whether it's a coupon or it's a download or it's an ebook or some type of material. What is that incentive that's a
Right.
first point of contact? And then the final point, I think, is that businesses really need to take a look at when they post and how often they post. I think
Excellent.
that it's it's pretty much a business is going to need to be looking at a minimum of 3 to 5 to maybe 6 times a day on Facebook.
Right.
And your page insights, by going into that page post insights, will tell you when your fans are online. So you need to be taking a look at that. So if they're not on at 8 a.m., then that's not necessarily going to be a good time to post. But if you see that at 10 o'clock in the morning they are definitely starting to ramp up, then that's when your post should go out. So taking a look at that as well.
Very good. This is perfect tips. And Mike, as we come to the end of our show, I always like to ask my guests maybe an interesting book they read recently or favorite, or a movie that you feel you want to share with our audience, if you have
Okay.
one.
I think that I'm just starting to get into it, and it's
Mm-hmm.
Jab, 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 Right Hook by Gary Vaynerchuk.
Excellent.
And I have watched Gary and learned from him, but I think that he has really done well with this book. And I think
Yeah.
that whole concept of the jab, 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 which is, again, being helpful, providing information,
Right.
so and then someone is ready for that right hook.
Yeah.
So I think that's a resource I can recommend. I'm not finished with it yet, but
Right.
it's been very valuable.
It's a great book, and we have actually a review of it, one of our posts, and
Okay.
it's perfect, perfect. And then Mike, we're gonna share your links at the end of our blog post as well, all the things we just talked about. And if anybody wants to find you, where is the best place to find you online?
Yeah, I mean, one of the best places and most simple is just come to facebook.com/tabsite. Okay,
Perfect.
so that's where I'll be, interacting with the community there and be glad to, follow up with people.
Very good. Thank you, Mike. Like I said, I'll put a link to all these resources. And once again, thank you so much for coming on our show. And this is Jacob Sapochnik, Enchanting Lawyer Podcast, and we'll see you in our next show.